right, welcome everybody. Again, you're here with two bald nerds, Mike Meyers and Richard Chapman. Thanks again for spending a few minutes with us. Mike, how would you like to do some fishing today?
Oh, man. Hey, I'm a Texan. I live on the Gulf Coast, man. As much as I enjoy talking to you, I would much rather be out on a boat pulling in some specks and reds, man.
Listen, as much as I like to wet a hook, though, that's not the kind of fishing we're talking about.
Not today. Not today,
This
man.
This is October Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and we're talking about phishing emails.
With a PH.
You know, a lot of people, yeah, exactly. PH phishing, right? A lot of people ask, you know, what are phishing emails? What do you know about phishing emails, Mike?
Well, I know that the level of, a phishing email, let's make sure we know what we're talking about. It's an email that in some way is trying to get you to do something, right? In particular, an email that tries to get you to go to usually a remote site where you type in a username and password. Not always a remote site, but most of the time it is. And
credential harvester. Yep.
Yes. And so and everybody who's listening gets these. I mean, they're common now, and they're a big issue. And the big challenge for me, look, I think most people are, to knock on wood, are smart enough to sit here and go, oh, this is a phishing email. But it shocks me how often that is not true. I've discovered doing phishing stuff where we've been playing around with phishing internally, of course. Don't send phishing. Don't experiment with phishing and then send them to strangers. You know, get a piece of paper.
Not unless I was going to say, if you can send it to somebody if they know you're sending it, but be careful with that too, because you can actually you can end up listing your email as a malicious phishing email. That's not a good thing.
And then the hup boys come and kick in your door. They love to kick in doors. Trust me. No, we've done this, and if you can like use a common bank like Chase Bank, all right, that's a classic. And you know, send somebody an email, your Chase account, then send it over here, and we would get 10 to 15% success. Isn't that amazing? That high of a number?
It's not surprising though. I mean, it really isn't. Everybody lives very busy lives these days, and sometimes they don't stop and pay attention to what's in the email. I'll tell you the biggest way to actually not be a victim of a phishing email is to stop and think about what you're looking at. Pay attention to some of those telltale signs, right? And we'll definitely talk about those here in just a second. But yeah, it does happen. It happens quite frequently. The humans are the weak link here.
Always. Yeah. People are always talking, what's the famous XKCD cartoon? And it's like, oh, we've got to get to this bad guy's information. We're going to have to use this $10 million computer. And it's going to take 2 years. And the other guy goes, just hit him in the head with this wrench. So it's like, you know, the people are always the weak spot. But I got to tell you, Richard, I mean, I know a few things on phishing, but you're the guy who deals with this on a daily basis. What when you see an email come in and it's setting off any alarms in your head, what are you looking for?
There's a lot of different things you're looking for. If you can actually see the email itself, for instance, like you as the end users out there, you know, when you see an email that has bad, you know, poor grammar, poor spelling, you know, you can tell it wasn't written very well. Maybe some of the verbiage just doesn't make sense, or it's sent to a generic user as opposed to being sent to specifically you. You know, those are kind of telltale signs of a phishing email when you're looking at the email itself. In the back end, there's a lot of other things, obviously, that the systems are doing to try to identify as, you know, a malicious phishing send email. You know, maybe it didn't come from the actual sender. It came from someone pretending, you know, to be the sender. They're masquerading as that.
How do we do that? I explain that, because I think that's important.
Yeah. Without going into too many details, I mean, a lot of the security email applications these days, they're looking for the SPF, the DKIM. They're looking for those authentication measures in the background to try to identify that as a legitimate email coming from the sender. If it can align, then that might be something. If they find a malicious link in the email, which is very common, right? Whether it's a credential harvester where they're trying to trick you into typing in a username and a password, or they're sending you to a link that is known to have malware that will download onto your computer. Whatever the case may be, it's looking for all of those things in the background. And, you know, that being said, they're not perfect. Some things do still get through. And when you get that email, you're the last line of defense. You've got to pay attention. One real quick advice that I can give to everybody when it comes to looking at an email that you're questioning, if there's a link, hover over the link with your mouse. Don't click on it, just hover over it. And
Exactly.
look at the link that it's going to send you to in the bottom left-hand portion of your window. Because if you're like, for instance, let's say it's a bank login. Let's say you bank with, I don't know, Bank of America. And when you hover over the link, that link has nothing to do with Bank of America. That's a good indication that it's not taking you to Bank of America. It might be sending you to a site that's been set up to look like Bank of America to trick you to put in your username.
Yeah, it'd be like bankamerica.io or something like that.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
Richard, to add to what you're saying, the one thing I would add is that even at home, it's easy to look at the details, the header of the email itself. Every email client has some way where you can see that kind of stuff and do exactly what you just said. But look at who it's being sent from is such a huge clue, right?
Yep.
So that's just to extend exactly what you're saying. Man, it's such a big deal. It's important.
It really is a big deal. And I think about 48% of attacks are happening because, or being successful because of a malicious phishing email. And I'll tell you, nobody is able to escape. Some of these phishing emails are very, very well done. I remember actually doing an investigation on an email that was sent to a chief information officer. And believe it or not, that individual clicked on the link and also inputted credentials into a credential harvester. This was the chief information officer. So nobody is immune to these. You just have to take a second. We all live busy lives, but take a second to take a look. That if it doesn't look right, if it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. So in any case,
couldn't end with a better statement than that, Richard.
Right. Awesome. Well, I don't know. There's so much we could talk about on phishing, but I don't want to take all day, and I know you're a busy man as well too. But at the end of the day, just pay attention to those emails. If you get an email from someone you don't really expect to get an email from with an attachment like a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet or anything like that, take pause. Don't jump in there and click on it. Try to think about it. And, I hate to say this, but if you have somebody that that's in cybersecurity, send them a text message and say, hey, help me out here. That's not a bad thought.
I
My
do it
mom
all the
does
time.
it to me all the time. So with that being said, phishing emails, definitely be careful. Thanks for joining us today, Mike. Always a pleasure. With that, I guess we'll call it a day. What do you think?
Sounds good. Thanks, Richard.
No problem. Look forward to seeing you again. Talk to everybody later.
Bye.